dear friend and mine, Vice President Joe Biden. One of the things, a responsibility that you've taken on in the last year is what you are calling the cancer moonshot, what you and the president called the cancer moonshot, which is to put the country and our research facilities and put the government support behind the idea of finding a cure for cancer in the next 10 years. How do you approach this as a father who lost his son a year and a half ago to the disease that you're hoping to bring an end to? How does that affect you personally?
Well, look, you and I, in one of our private conversations, I told you about I got a letter, an awful lot of you, by the way, maybe some of the audience were incredibly generous to my family and me when we lost our son. But a lot of people have had equally bad things or worse happen to them and don't have the support that I've had. And they get up every morning, they put one foot in front of the other, and they go out there and they do their job and they move. And that's what I keep thinking about, those people. And I also, as I said to you, I got a letter from Vicki Kennedy, Ted Kennedy's wife. He was a great friend and a friend of my son's as well, both my sons. And she included in the letter a copy of a letter that her father-in-law, who she never knew, Ambassador Kennedy, Ted's father, had written to a friend in 1954 who had just lost his son. And remember, Ambassador Kennedy lost his eldest son, Joe, in World War II. And Joe was the guy thought to be destined to be the president and the leader of the family. And in writing to she said every time Teddy would get really down, he'd go to the top drawer of his bureau and pull out the letter and read the letter his father wrote to his friend. And there's a line in the letter that says to his friend, I'm making the name up, I don't remember, John, there's no way to explain the loss and there's no answer I know how to fill the void except one thing. I determined shortly after Joe died, I'd ask myself, what would Joe do if he were here? And I devoted my life to doing what I thought Joe would do. That fills the void. It makes it worthwhile. And I know that if it reversed, Beau would be spending his time doing all in his power to try to bring together these great minds in the cancer research field all around the world to focus on and have a greater sense of urgency on what can be done to do in the next 5 years what ordinarily would take 10, to take some cancers and turn them into chronic diseases, completely cure others. You know, when Nixon declared the war on cancer, in 1961, he had no army, he had no tools, he had no real information. And so the entire structure set up to deal with cancer was sort of a Jonas Salt model, which is one guy or woman in a laboratory finding a specific cure. Well, we didn't know then there's over 200 different cancers, completely different cancers. There's tools that we have now that didn't exist. We can compute to the degree of 1 billion calculations per second. There's been hundreds of thousands, millions of cancer genomes that have been done, sequenced. There's all this data. And one of the things we found out is if you're prepared to share that data, which the culture of medicine isn't prepared to do yet, if they share that data, we can find answers. I'll bet every one of you knows somebody who has had cancer, hopefully not in your family, but maybe in your family, and a treatment was prescribed, and for another person who had the same cancer, treatments were prescribed, and it worked on one and not the other. Why? Why does that happen? Well, there are answers. And the only way to do that is aggregate massive amounts of data and use the technology we have to be able to look at patterns and how it changes, what works and what doesn't work and why it works. For example, I did this report for the president with these brilliant cancer specialists from around the world and signed memorandum of understanding with 10 different nations up here at the UN when they had the General Assembly to share all this information. One of the things that we found out is that, for example, the largest hospital in the world is the Veterans Hospital. They have more data on cancer. They have more blood samples to test whether there's markers in your blood for cancer, which they're finding out now. They can figure those things out. And all of a sudden, we got a phone call from the company that has a little machine called Watson, and said, why don't we make Watson available to you? Because Watson has read every single solitary piece of data on cancer around the world. So now someone gets cancer in the military, they go to the hospital at Walter Reed, they get their human genome sequenced, it gets put into Watson. Watson, in a matter of hours, can tell you every single therapy that's ever been used on that type of cancer, to narrow the field exponentially, to know what may work better. And so there's all kinds of things that are beginning to happen. And the biggest thing, though, is changing the culture of sharing data, sharing information, not hoarding it. And we're beginning to break down these silos and barriers, and I think we're going to make enormous progress.
Well, one of the things that gives me hope is that on this issue, at least, you and the president and leaders from the other side have been able to bring people together. There's a bill that has now passed the House, and it just passed the Senate, and it's going to be going to the president's desk for signature, allocating $1.8 billion to this effort of the Moonshot, along with other research. And Mitch McConnell, the majority leader for the Republicans, did something that I thought was a beautiful gesture.
I agree.
And named the bill for your son.
He did. You know, it's the Senate I used to know.
That's something that you just don't hear anymore.
No, it's the Senate I grew up in. There's a lot of decency. We treated each other with respect. It was a generous thing to do. And, you know, and the leaders on getting this passed, this what's called the Cures Bill, were among the leaders were two of them were the leading Republicans in the House of Representatives. This is the one bipartisan issue. And I remember when I was saying, I hope I could get, before the year was out, another $1 billion for cancer. We got $1.8 billion. And if I say I got, but it's an example of how we used to work. We have to listen to each other. We don't listen very much anymore. Within my party now, there's a debate that we either have to somehow yield on our progressive principles relating to women, African Americans, LGBT community that said, look, I take a backseat to no one. I got listed as one of the most liberal voting records in 36 years. I'm the guy that said I was totally comfortable with gay marriage and things began to change. I make no excuses for my position. But here's the deal. But what I've found is that is not at all inconsistent with looking out for the people in the neighborhoods I grew up with, working people, high school educated people who are scared to death, who all of a sudden find themselves on a scrap heap because they've had good jobs, and all of a sudden their job is gone and they no longer, they're not qualified to the new digital age. They don't know what to do. They're frightened. They're scared. The neighborhoods I come from in Scranton and Claymont and Wilmington, they're as progressive, but they need to know you understand their problem. You understand their fear. You understand their concern. And a lot of them are being left behind.
Mr. Vice President, are you sure you won't run in 4 years?
Here's what I'm sure of. What I'm sure of is that with every ounce of energy in me, I'm going to continue to fight for the things that I've always believed in, which I think are basic, fundamental American values. It sounds corny, but there are two things. Everyone is entitled to be treated with dignity. And as my dad would say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's your dignity, it's your respect, it's your place in the community. And the second fundamental principle is the abuse of power should not be tolerated at all under any circumstances. Yes.
I can agree to that. We've got to go, but before we go, I just want to know, do you know that John Baptiste and I have challenged you and the president to a 2-on-2 basketball game?
I'm ready.
You're ready?
I'm ready.
So you're in.
Now, I want you to know, John, the president can go to his left.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I just want you to
gonna go to the
know.
left?
So John's
Well, I
in.
got Colbert. I'm not taking you.
Hey.
I bet you could dunk on me. So he's in, I'm in, you're in.
We got to get Barack.
Mr. President, come on.
And by the way, he may bring along LeBron. I don't know.
Oh, snap.
Whatever. See me shake? Mr. Vice President, thank you so much
Thank
for being
you.
here. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks an awful lot.
Vice President Joe Biden.